Hey everyone, it's another balmy day in the desert. I only got up to about 112 today. So I thought I'd come out here and do a little sweating on the reloading bench. Wanted to touch on a couple of things. Been focusing on 9mm lately. It's kind of funny because about 3 years ago I had a 9mm setup, much like this one, and it was this one is from Lee, but the original set I had was from Dillon, and happened to be down at my normal shooting range testing out some rounds that day, and Michelle Vescuzzi and a gentleman friend stopped in that day. She was preparing for her upcoming Top Shot contest and decided to come in and do a little practice. We got talking, and over the next few weeks we shot together once or twice, and the friend she was with showed an interest in getting into reloading and wanted to get into 9mm. So long story short, I just basically gave him my 9mm die set. At that time I was focusing more on 10mm, 9x25s, things that were more challenging for me at that time, the 40 Smith & Wesson. So I wasn't doing much of the 9, so I just went ahead and gave him the set, and he was rather grateful. But as time passed, now it seems I've come full circle, and we have gotten back into 9mm, so I went and got a Lee set. This is the set I replaced it with, and it's basically a Lee set. Pretty straightforward. You've got the resizer and decapper in station 1 as normal, powder and belling in station 2. So you have your powder feed and belling for the case. And then in station 3 is the bullet seeder, and they list it in the instructions that this can also put a crimp on it, which was puzzling to me, in that being a Dillon person, I hadn't been quite familiar with that. So I went ahead and figured that that was going to be useful for putting or debelling or taking the bell off the case while bullet seating. I was sadly mistaken, and I'll show you real quick why. See if this works. I'm going to try and do this the best way I can. It does put a crimp on it, but if I can get the light the right way, the crimp is below the bell. You see, it actually makes the bell stick out further than it originally was when it was in station 2. A couple of weeks ago I did a little quiz where I showed 3 of these rounds not seating into a 9mm barrel, and I asked why. And the reason was that this bell was actually sticking out too much. The bullet is seated and crimped as far as being stationary, but the bell was still there, which made me wonder why they were referring to this in any way as a crimp. And Here you have Lee selling their taper crimp die. And look up in the corner here. I don't know if you can make it out, but it says optional. This is something I don't quite agree with. A lot of you who have followed me for a while know that I'm a staunch advocate of not over crimping or crimping straight wall cases. That being said, a taper crimp is basically what I call it a debelling, but a mild taper crimp is going to be taken care of in the let me get this arranged. Okay. In this station. So basically Lee sells the set minus this die and makes it an optional die in a set. That the reason I disagree with is because there is no way to put a tapered or debelling, as I call it, crimp on a straight wall case without that die. So why make it optional? Just make the set complete. You cannot safely do a 9mm load with this set without this taper crimp die. So that's just another thing that kind of bugged me. Anyway, the bell, as you can see, without that die, I don't know if you can or not, but that bell is pretty pronounced and it won't clear the chamber properly. So you want to make sure that you follow through with all your double checks. Like I said, case gauge. Getting a case gauge for your popular rounds is very important. Double check everything. Also, pay attention when you're reloading if things start to fluctuate. In other words, I was loading these 9s with unique powder, and I was using just a standard range load that I liked. It was 5.5 grains, and I started noticing that things started to change, and I was fluctuating anywhere from 6.2 to under 5, and nothing had changed, and I began to wonder what was going on. And I started checking my equipment, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but let me get the light. The collar had cracked. So every time you put a charge in, the tension on the handle would rock this one way or another, changing how the powder fed into the case. It didn't sit firmly on the powder feeder anymore, or on the powder die. Fortunately, Dillon is a very reputable company. I always recommend them because of their customer service. I got on the phone and I said, hey, my collar broke. Not mine, but the powder feeder collar broke. They had a brand new collar out in the mail that same day. I got it 2 days later. Didn't cost me a cent. Didn't even charge me for shipping. If you are thinking about getting into reloading, definitely check out Dillon Precision. So I'm going to get back into reloading real quick. Another upcoming sequence is going to be, I was watching Chuck over at my Hollow Point, and he got in some ammo. It was this, what is it, Precision Delta, and he had his new Colt not a new one, but it hadn't been used apparently, and he started doing some shooting with it and kept having feeding problems, and I just sent him a message and said, hey, if you send me a few rounds, I'll do some research on it and see what's going on. He actually sent me 2 boxes. You gotta love the way he taped. Anyway, they came like this, and I immediately opened one up and took them out, and as you can see, I immediately noticed that these are reloaded, I mean, rounds, and I sent him some of my initial findings on the measurements. These are at the limit of what 45 ACP should be at as far as case web width, the rebate area where the extractor hits. They're at the limits. So I said, man, I think these are reloads. And after I sent the message, I separated these 2 boxes because they were taped together. And I felt quite embarrassed afterwards, right there. And of course, I didn't see this when I sent the email, but it says remanufactured. So anyway, I'm going to do some more. I'm going to get out and shoot some of this stuff with my Taurus PT and my Kimber and see if I have the same issues. I suspect that they won't be the best as far as what I'm seeing on the initial measurements on case. And then I'll do some powder analysis and see what's going on with that. But anyway, that's the nitty-gritty from what's going on here. So everybody have a good day, have fun, be safe. This is Desert Gold out.